Following Rome's transfer of forces to the Balkans, only 3 legions faced the Germanic tribesmen. This was the opportunity for Arminius to defeat Varus. Ancient battles were constrained by the seasons and weather. Typically, the campaigning season began in March and ended by October, at which point armies would return to winter camps. Over the winter of 8 to 9 AD, Varus planned a simple campaign for the coming year. The disparate elements of the army would meet at Vetera, across the Rhine, march to Cherusci territory while resupplying garrisons on the way, and then set up a summer camp in nominally pacified Cherusci lands from which to base summer operations. Unbeknownst to Varus, he had already been betrayed. Arminius, his trusted confidant, had secretly planned the summer camp in Cherusci territory as a trap. This location allowed the Cherusci to monitor the Romans during summer. When the winter season started coming by in March, the Roman army departed from their summer camps, following Varus's plan to move toward the winter camp in a safer Roman territory away from German tribes. Summer had been vital for Arminius, who, with his auxiliaries, was attached to the Roman forces. However, time was running short, and he needed to carefully orchestrate an ambush. Thus, in July, he ordered some of his allies to start raiding the Romans. As late summer arrived, escalating unrest became the chief concern. Arminius then counseled Varus to split off a detachment of troops to go put down the unrest, and Varus acceded, thereby splitting his own forces. In a desperate move, Arminius proposed that instead of retracing their route, they could reach their goals by campaigning against the Anglovarii, which would shorten their journey and allow them to suppress the revolt. Varus agreed and decided to follow Arminius's plan to pass through Anglovarii territory. On the morning of September 7th, 9 AD, the Roman army mustered to move out onto the Anglovarii campaign. That evening, Arminius told Varus that he was breaking off to finish the muster of the Cherusci auxiliaries, but would return with the main army in 2 or 3 days. The loss of Arminius cut the size of the Roman army by a quarter and deeply curtailed its scouting abilities. On the morning of September 8th, the Roman army decamped and continued snaking its way through the area's thick forest, which slowed movement and strung the army out at an increasing distance. Arminius now only had to ensure that the Romans worked their way toward Cocris, where the Anglovarii lay in ambush. The line of march was now stretched out perilously long, between 15 and 20 kilometers. It was in this state when it came under attack by Germanic warriors. The attackers surrounded the entire Roman army and rained down javelins on the intruders. It was a brief skirmish aimed at tiring out the Roman troops and causing maximum damage to their supplies. The Bructerii later withdrew quickly. The Romans' luck went from bad to worse as a torrential downpour began. Unable to advance, Varus ordered the army to make camp. Casualty reports indicated only light losses. The Romans decided to undertake a night march to escape, but marched into another trap that Arminius had set at the foot of Cocris Hill. There, a sand the Romans could march was constricted by the hill, so that there was a gap of only about 100 meters between the woods and the swampland at the edge of the Great Bog. The road was further blocked by a trench, and towards the forest, an earthen wall had been built along the roadside, keeping the Germans in cover. The Romans made a desperate attempt to storm the wall, but failed, and the highest-ranking officer next to Varus, Legatus Mnemonius Valla, abandoned the troops by riding off with the cavalry. His retreat was in vain, as he was overtaken by the Germanic cavalry and killed shortly thereafter. The Germanic warriors then stormed the field and slaughtered the disintegrating Roman forces. Varus committed suicide. The Romans had been brutalized by Arminius and his allies. About 15,000 to 20,000 Romans were killed in the forest.